So this is the rough opening we're starting with. I don't know why it was done this way originally, but our header is not flush with our posts. So we got to do a couple things. First, we have to cut the sheet metal back to reveal the face of the post. I'll show you how that looks. So we cut the sheet metal back because we want a flat face to adhere our 3x4 1/4 inch angle. And once we have the stringers and the sheet metal cut back and revealed, we've got that. Then we've got the headers to deal with. So we've already cut this header out, detached it from the sheeting, and we have it temporarily braced there. You can see what we want is a flush and even reveal all the way across the opening. You can see here we've got 3.5 inches all the way around, so we've got a nice flat face consistently to attach our angle iron to. And that's going to be the base of the door jamb or door frame. It's going to kind of act a little bit like a flange, and then we will do an inverted piece, or the inverted piece will be on the inside here, and that will kind of be the door stop and seal. So that's where we're at. We've almost got this all roughed in, and then we've got to modify this side, and then we will start attaching angle iron. So here's where we've gotten in the last, well, that's what we did last weekend on the doors. Like I mentioned, we cut back the sheet metal to expose the posts and the faux headers. I say faux headers because they're not load bearing at all, but they do span the distance, and it's what the sheet metal was attached to up there across the top. So we got all the cuts made, we got them welded up. Right now the welds are just kind of temporary. We just got them welded and ground down, 4 or 5 spots going up and down. Then we've got our big bolts going through all the way around. So this door jamb is actually kind of like a door flange, but this second interior angle iron is going to act as like a door stop all the way across the top, and we'll be able to run the like a weather stripping or a gasket along there, so when the door's shut, it should seal halfway decent. Oh, I didn't grind that spot. I need to go back and hit that with the grinder. Missed it. Today, we're going to start on the hinges. The hinges are going to be kind of interesting because we're going to be utilizing some hinge plates and some barrel hinges. And I'll bring y'all in a little closer when it's time to do that. So these are the hinge plates we're going with. They are 1/4 inch hexagons. They're like 10 inches across, flat side to flat side. The reason we're going with these hinge plates are because it's not super easy to weld, for me anyway, these vertical welds up in the air on this surface with those little bullet hinges. So what I'm going to do, cut these hinge plates and weld my bullet hinges to these. That way I can, nice flat surface on the table, get good solid welds on my hinges to my hinge plates, and I'll have a lot more surface area to do these hinge plate welds. I'll be able to have, this much. I'm going to cut the back section off where that vertical line is, and that's the piece that's going to go on the door frame. So that's the idea. Let me show you the hinges we're going to use. So we're going to use these barrel style hinges. Well, like this. And so we're going to do our welds, get nice clean metal, good ground. We're going to do our welds on the hinges here. Then we're going to take the plates to the jambs and then weld that. The welder we're using, the Deco Pro stick, and we're welding on 110 because my 220 outlets have not been installed yet out here. Done a couple of videos on this bad boy. It is a beast. We are using 7018 1/8 inch rods. This thing just does an amazing job. I did some test welds before we got started, and You can see the 7018 does a pretty good job. Obviously that's not ground down at all. That was a test run. A little too hot, a little too fast, but I'll keep you posted on how she's performing. All right, we made a little progress today. We got 1 of 4 doors framed. This door handle with our hinge plates and barrel hinges. The weld quality is of varying degrees, well, it's just what happens. They'll grind up and look decent. Didn't show a whole lot of this one because there's some trial and error, and it's a good thing we didn't, because we've made some mistakes. We're gonna have to adjust the frame a bit. Right now it opens really smoothly, but it doesn't close all the way or open. It doesn't get past the threshold without being kind of forced. So we're gonna make some tweaks and then we'll show you how it works. All right, Henry, what are you doing here? Quick video on how we're aligning our hinges on our doors. We're gonna use the level as a straight edge as a reference, and we'll move it down. Henry said he learned this when he worked at Area 51, working on the landing gear for the alien spaceships. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us. So we weld the hinge plates to the frame, then we weld the hinges to the hinge plates. That way we got a nice flat, easy to reach surface versus doing all the welding up high. And we didn't show a whole lot about this first door going up. One, because I knew we were going to screw it up and we were in a hurry. And both of those things were true. We were in a hurry and we screwed it up. We had to modify it. It wouldn't even fit. We had to shorten this side, kind of tweak this side. We had to completely, I don't know if you'll see this, I had to completely cut the backs off all these hinge plates because I didn't give myself enough clearances. It was a learning experience. So we'll document this side a little bit better, and especially the other half of these doors. So really the biggest challenge on a project like this is making sure that once you're done, that your doors open and close smoothly. And the key to doing that is taking your time. Make sure your barrels all line up just perfect. Take your time, line them up perfect, and that'll give you the best place to start. Once you know that your barrels on your hinges or your hinges themselves are all lined up with each other, then you really just need to make sure that your door frame itself is as square as possible. So here we took a speed square and one of those big framing squares and went around and around and tacked and adjusted until we knew that everything was perfectly square. And once we did that, everything came together pretty nice. Now this door, each section is 5 foot wide by 10 foot tall. It is really, really heavy. So you can see Henry and I were kind of struggling there to get it in place. But once we got it in the door, we used some shims to create that 3/4 inch spacing all the way around, and that would kind of put it in position for the next welds. So we've made some progress, and from here they might look as if they're done or close to done, but we're not there yet. Now I know we didn't go into all the details about how we welded every piece and all that stuff, but really it's pretty basic. This is all angle iron, just welded to the shape, and these cross braces, those diagonals, that's some flat stock. So there really wasn't much to that. I probably could have spent a little bit more time showing how we welded on these hinges and hinge plates. These are the hinges we got on Amazon. They're barrel style hinges. They're rated for 350 pounds each. Is that right? I don't remember. No, 450 pounds each, something like that. Either way, it's plenty. So we didn't show all that, but we're still not done, especially on the inside. One thing we're missing are the latches. You know, these are the door handles, but we don't have the latch mechanism in yet. So we're gonna work on that still. But these things do open pretty nice. And on the inside, you can see we still have a lot to do. Now this one is a little bit further along. It's basically dry fit on the outside, or for the exterior boards. These are just 2x10 by 10s that we cut to fit and planed. Now we've just got some of these cross braces holding them tight so we can open the doors. Over here, we're still not even fully filled out. We still got a bunch of raw metal and stuff to fix, but today we're gonna work on the latch mechanism. You can see that we've got a latch at the top. I've got this string on it just for now. And one of those drop pins, I can't remember what those are called, holding this door tight, but I want this door to shut and engage this stationary door. So let's get to work on that. All right, working on the latch, the rotational parts that engage the back side of the door there. I think we're gonna go for something like this. We'll drill a hole here. That will be our pivot. Then we'll drill a hole at the top. We'll make 2 of these, and that'll be connected by a linkage. So when that linkage goes down, both of those pieces turn simultaneously. So that will go from this upright position. When it's turned, it'll go like this, and it will lock the door, I think. And it kind of looks like an axe, so that's cool. All right, there's the rough shape. So now I'm gonna hit it with the old flapper dapper, punch a hole, and we'll try it out. I need one more of these though first. All right, so here you're looking at both pieces rough cut. I used the first one I made, which was sloppy but close enough, as a template for the next one. I cut out the next one the same way with the angle grinder. And now I bolted and clamped it together, and I will use the first one as kind of a mirror perfect template, and I'll take my grinder and I'm just gonna slowly work them down until they're both exactly the same. So neither one may keep or take the original shape, but at the end they will both be the exact same shape. So that's next. All right, and there you have it. That's one way to get custom identical parts without fancy CNC plasma tables. All right, now we're gonna fit them on the door. I gotta clean it up a little bit. Okay, so we've got these attached. And hopefully what I've been trying to explain makes sense now. One thing that is a little unfortunate, these menacing axe heads that I was going for really just kind of look like mustaches. But I'm not upset about that. Okay, so this one is going to pivot on one of the just structural bolts that's going to come through and extend beyond the wood. And there's going to be another layer of decorative wood, but it's going to come on through. This one is going to be attached via a through bolt to the handle on the outside. So this is going to be the driving mustache when the handle turns. And it's going to be attached with a linkage. So, oh, my foot was in the way. See? Now, one of the cool things about using a bolt for this is that it's going to allow me to dial in the adjustment just right to where it closes exactly. Because unfortunately, when I built the doors, I didn't get it gapped perfectly, so the tolerances are not going to be the same all the way around. So this may be a little tighter than this one, but you'll be able to adjust that. And there's a nut on the back side of each of these mustache axes to tighten it, and I'll probably have to put a split ring or lock washer on there. But now what we have to do is get them perfectly parallel, and then we will measure the distance between here and here, and we will make a linkage arm. Wow, you guys couldn't see anything I was showing you. Fantastic. I wanted to use a square tube for this linkage, but price per foot of square tube, especially from the big box store, which is all that's open today, is stupid expensive. Like a 6-foot section of 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch or 3/4 by 3/4 inch square tube is like $30, and that just is insane. And I wanted to heat it and twist it and do fun stuff with it, but I'm gonna go with this 3/4 inch EMT rigid metal conduit instead. This stick was $5, which is much more palatable. So we're gonna cut it 1 inch long, longer than the measurement between the linkage hole. That way we have 1/2 inch of excess on both sides, which will accommodate the hole we have to make to go into both top and bottom. I think I want to try to pinch the ends of this. I think it's thin enough that I can just squeeze on it. We'll make it 1 inch depth, top and bottom. And I apologize for not going this in depth on the framing and the wood. But it was one of those things where it was so laborsome that when I had help, which I had help almost every day doing that, Henry and my dad, I just didn't want to waste their time by getting the camera stuff out. So I just set it aside. We'll make more crazy doors in the not too distant future. So now I'm just trying to pinch this so we have a nice flat spot to bolt to the mustache thinger. It's Harbor Freight vise has been holding up pretty well. You could also do this with a hammer, but this will give me probably slightly more consistent results than me swinging a hammer. All right, so we got the linkage finished. I didn't think about that. I actually had to flatten this top piece all the way down to here to accommodate for the motion. Well, you can see here, the drive, it's not a drive pulley, but you can think about it as a drive pulley, and the secondary pulley operate in unison, meaning that now when I turn the outside bolt that goes through the door, it will effectively turn these both at the same time, allowing passage. See, this one's got some slop in it. This one's a little tight. So the nice thing about this is I can dial it in with these double nuts. And when I've got it perfectly tuned in, I'm going to nylon nut all these so they stay exactly where I want them. But this is a little loose. This is a little tight. So this needs to come forward. Anyway, so that's how that works. The next step is I need to weld in a retaining nut. That's basically its whole purpose is to hold this through bolt into position. So I'm going to use a nut for that. That's obviously this 3/4 inch size. and that's going to hold the handle. Basically turning, opening and closing of the handle is just going to back off or thread in the bolt, which is just going to turn the mechanism. All right, gotta get the welder out. So originally, we were going to go with this guy to be the latching mechanism. I wanted it extra long to kind of give some leverage for getting those mustache tabs locked in. But what I found is that this mechanism moves so easily that there's no need for that. Well, I've got it disconnected right now. There's no need for that big bulky thing. And honestly, if it's not necessary, I'm not going to add it. So I was actually able to just open and close the door with my bare hand on the tip or the head of the bolt. I was able to put it in and just twist it and open and close it. Now, it didn't have a whole lot of surface area to grab onto, but it was simple and easy, and it looked clean. It just kind of was an extension of the door, not something hanging off of it. And so I welded on a couple other bolts.
I don't know if it's a rabbit. I don't know what it is. But it's
Rat or rabbit?
No, it's bigger. It's about that big.
To give it a little more meat. And this is going to be the door handle. Super simple, not perfect, but I'm going to paint it and we'll just go with that. Okay, shut it and open it. That's better.
Still on the top of it, it's a hell of a lot longer than it was. Yeah.
All right, guys, I think we're going to end this here. I'm not one for big multi-part, DIY type projects. I like to see beginning and end result, but this has already been 3, 4, 5 months in the making. The video's already getting pretty long, and we probably have a couple months worth of work to do on the inside still to make it decorative and fancy. I got some really nice metal work done that we're gonna have installed in the interior side of these doors, and I've got so much going on right now, I just don't have the time to dedicate to doing that properly. So now that we have doors that shut, latch, and lock, we're gonna put a wrap on it. I know that I didn't go into detail on the wood part, but guys, it was simply plain, stain, and cut to fit. That's all there was to that. So you didn't really miss anything. I know it looks dramatically different with and without the wood, but that was literally the easiest, quickest, and simplest part. So use your imagination there. I started doing it and it went so fast, I just got buck wild and knocked it out in a couple hours. So if you have any questions, leave the comments down below. I'll try to answer them as fast as I can. I do want to say, if you're interested in having some metal work like this done, these were made for me by Fab42. He's also a YouTuber out of Oklahoma City. He's done a few projects for me, and he's very reasonably priced and does a good job. So if you need some custom metal work done, reach out to him. Thanks.